Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. The Adobe Digital Economy Index offers the most comprehensive set of insights of its kind based on the analysis of over 1 trillion visits to sites and over 100 million SKUs. Joining me to discuss the methodology and highlights of the results, as well as back to school and early holiday 2020 trends. Be with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks.
The index.
Uses Adobe Analytics of SKUs to give a rapid, accurate, and highly granular assessment of how the U.S. online economy is going, for everything from how much people are spending to what they're buying to even where they're spending it. Are they shopping online to get things shipped to them, or are they going into stores to pick up the things that they bought? And especially in this moment of highly unpredictable commerce and highly unpredictable economy, we're finding it and our clients are finding it a very useful tool for understanding what's happening on a day-to-day basis.
And many of these trends were in place prior to COVID-19, right?
In February, we would have expected this to be a strong e-commerce year. But certainly as soon as COVID-19 really hit and people started to shelter in place, we saw growth rates that were just unprecedented, 70 to 80% year-over-year growth in daily online spending, which was, as I said, unprecedented. We've seen that walk back ever so slightly as we get now into July and August. That is beyond anything we've seen on a year-on-year growth in the 7+ years we've been doing this work. And in fact, we expect that this year, in the first 9 months, consumers will spend as much as they spent all year in 2019 online.
Is there a difference in states that have reopened versus states that have remained stay at home longer?
Yes, we took a deep dive into how reopening changed the way that growth online was happening in various states. What we saw was that for those states that had gone through some level of reopening this summer, they were seeing about an 8% less growth year over year in terms of online sales compared to those that had not gone through significant reopening. Now, that tells us two things. First of all, that number, while significant, pales in comparison to the 50 to 80% overall growth that I was talking about earlier. So it's a marginal difference between these states, and it tells us that consumers are really making some very personal decisions as to where and when to spend their time in their commercial lives that are beyond the particular mandates of their states.
So last time we spoke this week, are you continuing?
We have seen click and collect or BOPUS behaviors over the course of this year. Right now, we're seeing nearly 3 times as much buy online, pick up in store behavior as we had seen back in January. Consumers are continuing to see BOPUS as an opportunity to minimize their time in store, minimize their exposure, and minimize their exposure at the point of sale, while retailers with physical footprints are seeing that they can deliver goods to consumers with a differentiator compared to online pure plays. They can get you the products in an hour or two as opposed to a day or two, and that makes a difference.
Are you seeing deflation in any?
We're seeing constant deflation in online spending or online prices, and that may be driving down overall inflation. What we've seen is unusual, even I keep using this word unprecedented, but these are the times we live in. Unprecedented past 2 months, we've seen actual inflation online, driven by 2 things. One, people are buying different things online. So when you buy more groceries, those are less prone, for instance, to fall in price over time. But also key product categories like electronics and computers, which had driven deflation in the online world, have not seen the price reductions month on month that we had been seeing.
Let's discuss back to school. And has the pandemic impacted sales in general?
Yes, so we have seen a boost in back-to-school product purchases in 2 really interesting waves. First, right early on in the COVID-19 era, We saw a boost in pencils, erasers, notebooks, the kinds of things that kids really need in their day-to-day work lives, because they were coming home to do remote schooling in the spring, late spring and early summer of this school year. We've seen that those sales continue to be high and strong, but sort of on a par with what we're seeing overall strength in terms of online sales. Where we've seen a real boost in the past month or two has been in computer sales, tablets, and the other your Chromebooks, the kinds of things that kids are going to need now to go into a year of remote learning or hybrid learning, and you're going to need those devices need to make a real investment in those devices for the full year.
And Taylor, to wrap up here, what's your outlook on holiday 2020? I mean, this is unusual. Big box is not open for Thanksgiving. So are they going to expand the traditional Black Friday to Christmas rush?
So it's a tough year to be in the predictions business, but I will tell you one thing, that we are running now on a daily basis more sales online than you would see in December, which is normally our peak season. So whatever increase we see, whatever push for online spending, whatever holiday boom we see is going to take us to unprecedented levels of to see it
when the next index reading comes out. Taylor, thanks so much for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Market